And with the quote, we create kind humans who speak kindness, show kindness. Be a kind human. Be a kind human. Hello, 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 and welcome to What the Quote. I am your host, Tajuana, and I am a kind human who is excited about quotes. This is actually the second episode of What the Quote, and I'm extremely excited just because I feel like I am sharing something that is very, very close and inspirational to me with you. Um, if you have not had a chance to listen to the first episode, I ask that you go back and listen to it because I just told you so much about me and how this podcast got started and how important quotes are to me. So please feel free to go back and catch up if you have not been able to do that. So I'm going to tell you what the quote is, and then we're going to do what we do on every episode of What the Quote, and that is dance for 30 seconds. So the quote today is, do not despise small beginnings. And then I'm going to read the B part of that, which is, for the Lord rejoices to see the work in the beginning. Okay, here we go. Oh my, did y'all dance? Listen, that is a great way to start becoming a kind human. I'm telling you. And so, one of the reasons why I love to dance and recorded that is because I wanted to give a clear definition of what is a kind human. So, a kind human speaks kindness, shows kindness, and stimulates kindness in others, just in case you were wondering. We are all about kind humans. So, I'm going to be perfectly honest and say that I did not know that this thing that I had been saying was actually a scripture in the Bible. It is Zechariah 4 and 10. And it actually says, do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. So, isn't that amazing? That even when we just begin, that the Lord is pleased. And so I know we talk a lot about, or I know myself, I have often said, don't despise small beginnings. And it's so funny because recently as if I did not have enough to do, I started another business and revenue stream. And so one of my coaches in that basically talked about, don't despise your small beginnings, because it's a lot of what I call where the magic is. That's where I'm learning about the product and service. I'm learning how I'm showing up in that way. I'm learning because I'm creating relationships with people and what that looks like and what it entails, and it takes time. And so, in addition to me working at Rolls Royce for the last 25 years, I also have a brick and mortar called Mimosa and a Masterpiece in downtown Indianapolis, which is kind of like a paint and sip, where you come, you spend a couple of hours there or online because we're not offering that. And then at the end of that process, you have a beautiful masterpiece that you created And so I know that I wear a lot of different hats, but I really wanted to have a business that really allowed me to create and talk to and cultivate relationships on a personal level. And this is one of the quotes that my coach said, is that basically don't despise your small beginnings. So a lot of us, when we begin something, we're excited and we want to jump from the doors open to, oh my gosh, I've made $7.5 million. And that's great. However, comma, there's a lot that happens between that time period. And so if you are starting a new business or a new relationship, or whatever you might be beginning, a new job, there is this grace that we need to give to the process of beginning, because a lot of times we've never been in that space before. If we're dating somebody for the first time, because they're new, they're a different person, and hopefully we are too. If we're beginning a new job, then that means that we've never been to this job before in this position. Even if it's the same position, it's still a new environment with new people and new policies and new guidelines. And so giving ourselves grace and appreciating where we are at this time, and really allowing us the space to just be present with what we are feeling or experiencing, and not be so concerned with just moving right on to the next thing. Because there is a lot, that's a lot of times why we hear a lot of people talk about being present, because it is a present to be present and just take in the sights and the sounds of where you currently are. And especially as it relates to relationships and businesses, because some things are only going to be experienced as the clock continues to tick. One of the things that I learned at Most of the Masterpiece is that it's good that for a long time, I just wanted to be busy enough to pay the bills. And what I mean by that is, because there were a lot of systems that I needed to have in place to make sure that my customers were satisfied. And I didn't want to grow too fast to where my customers felt like they were moving through a conveyor belt. I wanted them to feel like family. I wanted them to feel like they were my friends. I would say a lot of times in posts that I did that, hey, I made some more friends at this class, because really there's a time and process that happens. Even okay, so if they come back a second time, do I remember them? Do I remember their face? Do I remember that they like mimosas instead of Cabernet, or whatever it is? And just giving myself the process and the time to get the process of me offering the classes. And then did I have some kind of a question survey at the end, so that they could know, was I going to put in some customer points, or whatever the case is. And so some of that just comes with me going at a pace that honors where I'm at. Because one thing that was very obvious with Mimosa and a Masterpiece, I knew that I didn't want to grow too fast, because as you grow fast, if it's not at the right pace, there is some residual fallout that also might be experienced as a result of that. And so it's kind of like, say, if you're dating somebody and you skip straight to having sex, that's that's going to have some residuals there that may be a lot more difficult to deal with instead of taking the process slow so that we can communicate and get to know each other. And so talking about not despising your small beginnings is really honoring where you are at this point instead of wishing and wanting and hoping to be at a different place, to be higher or more productive or whatever the case is. Sometimes it's just about being grateful for where you are and the experiences that you're having. And so that's one of the reasons why, even as I move through this process of beginning a new business, I want to really, really take some time to really feel how it is to get from one step to the next instead of just running. And sometimes because in the past, I have been very focused on accomplishments, getting to the next, this degree, that business, this certification, I've been very, very um, intentional on moving from one step to the next. And so now I realize that I really want to enjoy the journey of that and not just get to the destination as fast as I can. And for me, that means really enjoying and on it, enjoying and really taking in and being present to where I am right now and appreciating every step that I've taken and even appreciating the steps that I've not taken, but that I've thought about taking. Because that's where it also starts, is just thinking about, okay, what would I like to do? Okay, so I didn't do it today. Okay, I'm gonna give myself some grace. Okay, that's fine. And really honoring the fact that I am at least showing up for myself, which in the past maybe I had not been willing to do because I was so focused on pleasing other people. Hey, that's a whole nother episode, me being a recovering people pleaser. But that's really what it is. It's just taking some time to appreciate and be grateful for where I currently am at this time. So I said at the beginning of this podcast that I didn't recognize, maybe I knew, but maybe I forgot, or I don't know if I knew that this was actually a scripture from Zechariah. And even as it relates to quotes and me, because now I'm starting the process of inviting guests on the show, even saying, hey, it may be a favorite scripture of yours, because that is kind of a quote. It's a group of words that come together to inspire or transform or uplift you. So that can also be a quote, a scripture can. And so I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to do this one. Don't despise small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. And so there is a certain level of gratitude for just beginning. When people come into the studio, a lot of times as adults, we don't put ourselves in the position where we don't know how to do something because we want to be experts. We don't want to look foolish. We don't want to ask questions. But really, that is the gateway to experiencing new things, is to begin doing something. Just like me beginning this process of recording a podcast. If you knew how many how many of these I had sent to the trash can. Because my mic wasn't right. I couldn't get this going. I had to redo my theme song because, my coach was like, we can't hear your voice. All we hear is the music. It's, I mean, just time and time again, like I have, I have created. I mean, realistically, I think I've probably done this 10 or 12 times before I got to the ones that you are currently experiencing. And so, but I think that it's very important that I continue to put myself in those situations where I'm learning something new for the first time, because when I do it, it also puts me in a position to appreciate myself and to be grateful for the steps that I'm taking, even though those steps may be small. And in no, I think it's critical that we, don't just say the first part of this verse, which is don't despise your small beginnings, because for me, I'm excited because God rejoices to see the work begin. Like that is a whole new enlightened perspective for me, that when I just begin, He is delighted. When I just start the process of making a different choice, He is ecstatic. He's like, yay, baby girl, I knew you could do it. This is how I feel like God talks to me, because we're in a no judgment zone. I talk to him like he's a regular person. So I think he's saying, Tajuana, yes, I'm proud of you. Thank you for just beginning. To me, that's a big part of this verse, is not just to despise your small beginnings, but to really know and believe and feel that the Lord is happy just that you're beginning, that you're just opening yourself up to experiencing something new. And it's not going to look like everybody else. It's not going to be the way everybody else did it. It's going to be the way you feel like it's best for you to do it. So don't despise your small beginnings. So as we move into the coaching corner, because I can't just talk about a quote, I got to give you some takeaways. That's the coach in me. But what I would like for you to do is, in something that you are just beginning, if it could be a book that you're reading, a podcast that you're listening to, it could be a job that you're starting. Maybe you're drinking more water. You're going to, you've heard about people drinking 8 glasses of water. And so tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to drink 8 glasses of water, or you're giving up coffee, or you're going to stop cussing, or you're going to be kinder, like whatever that is, whatever that one, two, or third thing is. What I want you to do is to think of all of the things that you're grateful for that you have begun, or that you have thought about beginning. So for me, it would be this podcast. I am so grateful that I actually stepped out of my comfort zone enough to do it. The second thing would be my thought around giving up ice cream every day after dinner. Now, I have not done it at this particular time. I just had some ice cream yesterday. But I am grateful that I even had the thought that, okay, maybe I won't give it up every day, but maybe I'll just begin by eating it every other day. How about that? Because, hey, it could just be a small beginning. And so I'm not really concerned with what it is that you're beginning, but I'm more concerned with you giving yourself gratitude for even thinking about beginning something, or beginning it in a small way or a small step. So, whatever it is that you're beginning or thinking about, give me 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for, that you appreciate yourself for, that you are happy that you thought enough about yourself or other people to do it. So, hey, we've got another episode in the can. I want to thank you all for listening to What the Quote. I'm Tajuana, your host or hostess. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tajuana Hill. And I may also on TikTok because, my coach gave me uh, a thing that I needed to start doing TikTok. So I'm on there too. So have a great rest of your week and go out and be kind. Here we go. And with the quote, we create kind humans who speak kindness, show kindness. Be a kind human. Be a kind human.